In my experience, when I use this, I get very concerned when I see an indeterminate result. This is not a positive predictive value test. This is not a rule in test. This is a rule out test. However, what I can tell you is that when you do see an indeterminate result, it makes me much more suspicious. It makes me tend to be more aggressive, maybe even than I would have been standard of care. Certainly the guidelines, per biodesics is if it's indeterminate, just do what you normally would have done. I actually take that a step further, and when I see an indeterminate result, I typically am a little bit more aggressive. Maybe I'll do a PET scan, maybe I'll do a shorter term follow-up, or maybe I'll move right to a biopsy. So here's another case study. A patient of mine, 66-year-old male, smoked for 35 pack years, has a 9 mm left upper lobe nodule, first seen in 2018. Enrolled in Oracle on November 7th. We did a blood draw on November 19th. That was back when we first started, and it was taking a week or two to do a blood draw. We'd go to their house and do it, or we'd have a service that went to their house. Now we just draw it right in the office, put it on a card, send it off. We've got the results in about a week or less. So this patient's pretest probability, because it was somewhat speculated and because it was in the upper lobes and they have a history of smoking, was already 40% risk of malignancy for this very tiny nodule. And so we want to know how to manage this. So this result came back as indeterminate. And I've already told you, my hairs go up on the back of my neck when I see an indeterminate result, because a lot of these wind up being cancer. So with that indeterminate result, they're not going to tell you that it pushes it up, down, left, or right. They're just going to say, hey, we can't tell based on these protein ratios, so you have to make up your own mind. But what I did is I said, all right, this is the very early stages of me doing this test. It's a really small lesion. It's going to be difficult to get to. Let's wait and do a 3-month follow-up scan. We did that, and clearly the nodule got bigger and more solid. So based on that, we did a PET scan. You can see it was hot on PET scan. That certainly looks like higher than SUV of 2.9, but that's what the report said. And based on that, we said, well, we want to biopsy this. And so we moved and did a biopsy. I did a robotic bronchoscopy on this patient, and this ended up being a squamous